In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to construct the basic wire hoop earring. Here's a sampling of some old earrings that I found in my toolbox, and they show the possibilities, how you can hang things from them or how you can attach beads to the circumference of the earring itself. For your hoop earring, you could use absolutely anything. In class, I have students come in with coffee cans to make really large, funky earrings. You could use a piece of pipe. Absolutely anything to create the size that you want. Okay, let's get started. I have a piece of metal that I actually found laying around in a studio that I teach in. Nice hunk of steel, very good size. Kind of conservative, but I like this size. So I'm going to begin with 18 gauge wire. I'm using, in this case, 18 gauge nickel silver wire. I'm going to wrap it around the pipe, whatever this is, this chunk of steel here, a number of times to create my hoops. I'm going to cut the wire. Haven't just removed the wire from the thing that I wrapped it around. It has a natural spring-like quality to it. I don't want to bend it any further. I want it to retain that spring-like quality. What I'm going to do now is cut off the piece that tends to flare out straight. And now I'm going to cut my sections that are going to be used to make the actual earring. What I like to do is cut a little bit more than 1.5 times around. There we go. And since I'm making a pair, I'll cut 2. 1.5 times around, a little bit more. Since I'm using nickel silver, I was a little wasteful here. With sterling, you probably want to measure it a lot more careful, but you do need a little bit of an excess wire to establish the shape that we're about to create. Now, with 1.5 times around length of wire, I take my round nose cutters and I place it in the center of that hoop, and I bend one piece of wire up like so. Now I'm going to take my round nose pliers once again. I'm going to place it at the point where it bends. I'm going to bend the wire down. See? See the shape we created? I bent the wire up at 90-degree angle, and now I bent it down. I'm creating the loop. So we can see that here. I'm creating the loop that will eventually attach our ear wire. If I wanted to put a bead on this at this stage of the game, if I wanted to do something like this, this is when you need to do it. Take one of these nice blue beads I have over here, insert it on the ear wire, like so. Now, I'm going to continue to wrap the ear wire to create the hoop. Take my flat nose pliers, position it at the intersection of the 2 wires, and I'm going to begin to bend that wire around the hoop. See? I'm working it around. There we go. That's nice. Nice tight wire wrap around that hoop. But so now we have the excess. Something I want to point out right now about the excess. Notice I allow the excess to point inwards. I always do that. I think aesthetically it looks better when you end the wire wrap pointed into the earring rather than up. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off that excess wire. So I take my cutters, I get in real close with the flat edge of the cutter, and I snip that wire off. Now the details, it's all about detail. The more you pay attention to the little details, the better your piece is ultimately going to look. The wire, having cut it, I got really close, but it's still sticking out a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flat nose and crimp it down. When you do this with sterling, it's softer. This would be about, I would use here 0.035 sterling silver wire, round and soft. But you can take your pliers and just by turning it like this, a little bit of pressure, you flatten out the sterling in a nice way. It's beautiful. It looks really like the wire was beautifully formed around the hoop itself. It's a much nicer look than you can achieve with the nickel silver. But at this stage of the game, what do? We still have this wire to deal with right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my hoop like that. I'm going to take that piece of wire and start to bend it like I did the other one, up and around the hoop. I usually like to create at least 2 or 3 wraps around the existing hoop. And what I'll also do is I'll compress the wire after I make that wrap to get a nice tight looking coil. And once again, we want to trim off the excess. I'll take my flat nose and pinch down that little piece that tends to stick up. Come on, bead, get out of my way. Yes, there it goes. And I can achieve a little flattening even with the nickel silver by going like that. So that stage of the earring is complete. The last thing to do is attach an ear wire, and I'll find one and I'll do that in a second. There's just one thing I want to point out. With the hoop earrings, when you bend your wire around a coil, around a piece of metal, whether it be what you saw me used over here, or anything that you can find to create the size that you want, the wire takes on a natural spring-like resiliency. As long as you don't further bend it like this and play around with the natural circumference, the natural size of that coil you made, your ear wires, your hoop earrings will be identical in size. Now, the last thing I like to do with the ear wire is I like to take it, and before I mount it on a finding, I like to hammer it out. Gives it a nice handmade look. The tool marks on the surface I find very attractive. And although you don't need to add any strength to this, it does firm it up a bit and actually improves the look of the circle. There we have it. To complete the earring, I attach my ear wire. Close the loop, and a nice earring.